Welcome to another special episode of the Austin and Scott Variety Show. Today we have a special guest, friend of the show, friend of a friend, Zepp. Welcome to the show, Zepp. How are you doing today?
How's it going, Zepp?
Surprise! It's going good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing really well. Today is a very special day. It marks the 10th episode of us trying to hack at this weekend fun variety show. Thank you so much for agreeing to be our
Congrats on 10 episodes!
Oh yeah, we did it. We did 10.
Cheers to another 10.
We passed that New Year's resolution cutoff date, or what, the day of quitters, or whatever that date is.
Hey, let's go.
Yep. We'll see if we make it to March. I think we will. This is going pretty fun. Still fun.
Remember, March is just next weekend, so
exactly
next weekend.
Scott, I think first we need to catch up with how this week has been for everybody. I had a double date night on Thursday with my wife and another work friend. We got to go to a gaming cafe where we were able to order drinks and play board games. That was pretty good.
Nice. That is always fun.
Originally, the double date was supposed to be us going out to see the movie Nosferatu. It's no longer in theaters. It came out Christmas last year.
Yeah, you missed it just by a little bit, it looks like.
But it's the perfect timing because Peacock just put it out. So I was able to watch it there.
No, I took some project management courses stuff, just kind of learning a little bit of that stuff. It's pretty basic. Like, it's stuff that you already do without even thinking about it. For most of the stuff, it seems like they just put names to the things that you do. A lot of it is just like, common sense.
It sounds a lot like you and me when we took our class on psychology in undergrad.
Yep.
Where a lot of it was like, oh, so sad feels sad. Oh,
how strange. I never knew this.
It just feels intuitive. I get you there.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
How was your week, Zepp?
It was a good week. It was, nothing too crazy. I mean, I got a new couch in. That was the exciting thing.
By yourself? Do you have friends?
By myself. Well, I mean, had a bud help me move it in.
With that, you pay me pizza and beer, the traditional way?
Nah, it was just a quick move in. I did all the assembly myself, but they just helped me move the couch out from my inside to my backyard so I could tear it apart later.
Ah.
I replaced both of them. The old green fabric-y ones that I got for free. They were free, so I wasn't complaining too much, but at the same time,
they were comfy. They were just very old.
There were some times I'd be sitting on that couch and after a while I would start to hurt.
That's fair.
So you didn't have to take your couch all the way to the dump if it's just in your backyard. Where would you take it?
Well, I could have taken it to the end of the street and hoped somebody would have picked it up, but I'm just going to tear it apart and throw it in the trash.
Way easier than taking it a long mile out to the street. Speaking of long miles, Scott, I think you have a fun fact for us this week. Tell us all about it.
Gotta love that segue. Yes, I do have a fun fact for this week. Do you guys know how long the Roman mile was?
Was it about a Roman mile long?
It was a Roman mile long.
Perfect answer. I think a Roman mile would be however long a horse can sprint before it gets tired.
I like that answer. But unfortunately, no, that is not the answer. The Romans used a distance called the mille passum, which literally translates into 1,000 paces. Since each pace was considered to be 5 Roman feet, which were a bit shorter than our modern feet, the mile ended up being around 5,000 Roman feet, or roughly 4,850 of our modern feet. So that was a full fun fact. Now you guys might ask, well, then how did we get the 5,280 for our
you
current
begged that question.
And that's tied to furlongs in the 1500s, the English.
Oh, and furlongs,
and
Scott?
They just basically made a mile 8 furlongs.
I have to give credit to the Romans for attempting some sort of decimal system with exactly 1,000 paces, but then it all just kind of falls apart.
Gosh darn English.
Thank you, English, for ruining everything.
It would be one thing if the English started this and then they stuck with it and then they inspired America with it and then they were like, yoink, never mind, let's do everything in tens. And then America didn't get the message, or not in time at least. Not until we were done building all of our spaceships.
Yeah, that's another interesting story as far as how that happened. But essentially, they were going to have the metric system in the U.S. However, I think it was the kilogram, the ball that France shipped over to show us, either got pirated or got lost at sea or something happened to it. Again, I haven't fact checked this story for a while, but it never got here. And so they had to choose, or what's our official system? Well, we don't have the quote unquote metric thing that they promised us. So we're just going to go with the imperial system. And that's how we got stuck with it.
Way to go. Well, that was a fun fact this week, Scott. It makes me think.
Yeah.
I really learned. It's such a perfect fun fact as it ties into the first game that we have. All right, so Zep, we have a series of games that we're going to run you through. If you collect points, we might grant a special wish for you at the very end. But first, let's introduce you to the first game show that we have. This first game show is called Order Matters. This week in Order Matters, we have U.S. territories. I need you to sort these U.S. territories in order in which they were incorporated into the United States. Are you ready?
Hell no, I'm not ready, but let's go anyway.
For an extra point, you can guess which country these territories were acquired from. All right. Ooh. In order, they are Guam, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Samoa.
Isn't it just Samoa?
Yes. Am I saying it wrong?
Okay. Yeah,
I've always heard Samoa, like Samoan Islands, actually.
Yes. Yeah. The very same. Like the cookies. I think I'm saying it with the accent that they that's how they say it. That's
probably correct. We're just Americanized. No worries.
Today I learned.
I did also type it with an extra O where it wasn't supposed to be. So it is totally on me. Scott, do you have any intuitions about U.S. territories?
I do
the history of American imperialism.
I do not have any intuition as far as when the U.S. acquired them.
Okay, and how about you, Zep?
Well, let's see here. I know we have those territories. I know they're territories in our domain. So yeah, that's how much I know.
Okay, for the special bonus point, America bartered or somehow negotiated treaties.
Yeah.
To justify their claims to these lands and its peoples. All right, Zep, go ahead and take a swing.
All righty, let's see here. You know, I have no idea about when the U.S. acquired these territories, so I'm just going to go on a wing and a prayer and say the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Samoa Islands, and Guam. Why, you may ask? I just decided on that off the top of my head.
Okay, Scott, and your guess? Of
Puerto Rico from the Spanish.
Okay.
The U.S. Virgin Islands, I don't know who from, so we'll just say the English. Samoa from the French and Guam from the French.
Okay. All right. With your answers locked in, there was only one correct guess.
Oh, no. 25%
from Scott. Puerto Rico and Guam became territories in 1898. Properties taken from Spain through the Treaty of Paris, and then Samoa was acquired the following year in 1899 from Berlin, and the U.S. Virgin Islands were acquired in 1917 from Denmark.
From Denmark. Interesting. Why?
Oh.
I'm surprised by that.
See, now I'm just wondering what the Virgin Islands were called before we took them. Because there's no way they were called the U.S. Virgin Islands before the U.S. acquired it.
They were originally named Santa Ursula Islas.
The Dutch must have traded it with the Spanish at some point.
Spanish?
It must have been just going around
Ursula and her 11,000 virgins.
Oh.
That's a lot of virgins.
Christopher Columbus named it, apparently.
So it's Italian.
It was also known as the Danish West Indies before the United States purchased it.
Delicious.
And it was renamed in 1927 as the Virgin Islands by the United States. British also had some of the control of the islands of St. Thomas and St. John and St. Crooks.
Of the Thousand Islands?
Yeah.
Oh, is this where we get Thousand Island dressing from?
Ooh.
We had to go through all Thousand Islands for that dressing.
Okay, well, this completes our first segment.
Yay! We did it.
Next, Zep, we have a fun segment hosted by Scott here called Fake News, where we'll have to suss out the one true story among three. Scott, take it away.
So this week, I have brought you 3 news articles about scents and their use cases throughout life. Your job will be to listen to the article and then let me know which one you think is true.
Let's go!
All right, Number 1, scents of the afterlife. Researchers sniff out the sweet smell of mummies. In a groundbreaking study, scientists have taken a deep breath of history literally, by analyzing scent profiles of Egyptian mummies. Rather than the musty, decaying odor one might expect, researchers were met with a surprisingly pleasant aroma, thanks to the sophisticated embalming techniques of the time. Using chemical analysis, the team identified frequent substances such as beeswax, free resins, and plant-based balms, which not only preserved the bodies but also left behind a rich, spicy, and slightly sweet scent. The human panel of sniffers described as smells in terms of quality, intensity, and pleasantry. Researchers said that they would now attempt to create smellscapes in museums with ancient mummy exhibits to enable the audience to experience this important aspect of Egyptian heritage. So while these mummies may have been wrapped up for eternity, it turns out their scents stood the test of time, proof that the ancient Egyptians really knew how to embalm and charm.
All right, Zep. How plausible is this story to you? Do you think mummies could potentially smell like lilacs and beeswax and a bunch of delightful things? I personally think it smells dusty.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards dust, but I mean, then he did mention beeswax, so I'm kind of thinking, okay, maybe, but I doubt it'd hold up smell-wise that well for so long.
Yeah, ancient Egyptians had like 1,000 years to perfect embalming. So they probably just dehydrated the bodies a lot, took out all the guts that would decay really quickly. So they're giving themselves like the best possible chance to not have a stinky corpse on their hands, but it's still like a stinky corpse.
I could see them doing that and it lasting like long enough for the funeral procession.
Mm-hmm.
Or the pharaoh, emperor, whoever. But then after that, it's like, this is going to just smell like terrible.
Yeah, wouldn't want to be in that burial chamber. All right, Scott, what's the next story you've prepared for us?
All right, number 2. Do you smell that? Grandma's lost bread recipe found by aroma alone. A family's long-lost recipe has been resurrected thanks to the nose for nostalgia. When Lisa Carter stumbled across an old, crumbling recipe book in her grandma's attic, the ink had faded beyond readability, but one whiff of the fragrance page brought back a flood of childhood memories. I knew that smell. It was her famous honey oat bread, Carter said. With the help of her family, she sniffed through the pantry and started experimenting using the scents as her guide. After multiple batches and a few burnt attempts, they resurrected the exact aroma of their grandma's cherished loaf. Now the family plans to pass the recipe down, hopefully in a legible format. We've written it down this time, Carter said, but just in case, we'll always trust our noses.
Trust your nose. Go where the nose goes. All right, how believable is this one to you, Zep?
I mean, that sounds like a very tame Onion article.
Mm-hmm. Tame and based on reality, perhaps? Or a
fiction? I mean, based on something, of course, but, like, a lot of that just seemed like someone tried to make an article for The Onion and wanted to make it very tame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I do smell what you're stepping in. All right, Scott, tell us about our third story this week.
All right, number 3. Scent of a Romance. Library sniffer uncovers fragrant love letter. For years, visitors of the Maplewood Public Library noticed a lingering vanilla scent in the fiction section. Some chalked it up to being aging books, while others speculated about a ghostly presence. But it was Henry Peterson, a self-proclaimed scent detective, who finally uncovered the truth. Following the strongest traces of the aroma, Peterson discovered an old book wedged deep in a shelf. Inside, a hidden letter from 1952 revealing a lost love story written by Charles to Eleanor, a former librarian. The note expressed regret over a missed meeting and a love left unanswered. The source of the scent? Expert says it wasn't just aging books, it was perfume deliberately placed on the letter, a final touch meant to make the message more meaningful. Preserved for decades, its fragrance remained, carrying Charles' words through time. Now hailed as Sherlock's nose, Peterson's discovery will be displayed in the library, providing that sometimes history leaves behind more than just words. It leaves a scent too.
Self-proclaimed Sherlock nose?
Yes.
My goodness gracious. Oh, to have nose autism.
God, that's a beautiful name for it.
What a skill.
You mean just being a dog?
Oh.
To be a dog.
It's a lovely story. It's a
It's a lovely story.
Uh-huh.
And I swear I've also heard this story before. I'm trying to remember where and how long ago it was. Because, like, a lot of that, I mean, the names, of course, I don't remember, but That sounds so familiar, like I've read it somewhere before.
Between these three stories, what do you think is the most plausible?
The most plausible one. I'm kind of leaning towards the mummies one, just because they were trying to get the scent of what it initially smelled like for the funeral, right? And not just like, new mummy
It
smell.
would be whatever they smell currently when they sniff the sarcophagus, is my interpretation of this.
I'm willing to ditch that one then. Well, we'll ditch it back in the
Because
crypt.
when they're at the museum, they're always behind glass. You can't smell them properly, right? So
Yeah,
then they'll like
right.
artificially introduce mummy smell, but good mummy smell, supposedly.
New.
Because apparently it's good.
Jumper breeze. Artificial mummy smell.
Make your home a crypt in this new scent.
La, la,
Can you
la, la,
imagine
la.
that?
That's
Starting
right
in the
there.
12th century and continuing as far as the 19th century, mummies, bitumen, or asphalt had many uses in the ancient world, such as glue, mortar, and waterproofing. The more you know. So mummies are a commodity, and they smell delightful. Okay, if you had to pick, what would you pick, Seb?
If I had to pick, let's go with the library story.
I have a hankering for some homemade sourdough bread, and I'm going to stick with that story. All right, Scott. What is it?
Locking it in?
Yep.
Locking it in.
It is the mummies. The mummies was the truest. Actually, they had researchers that were going there, and they were basically taking air bags and puffing out the air that the mummies had inside the sarcophagus. They had little holes drilled in it, and then they take it out and sniff it, and they would have the panel of sniffers smell it and be like, yes, this has touches of woody. There's a little that kind of scent, and then they're going to try to recreate that in museum exhibits. So that way, when you're by the sarcophagus, you can smell what the mummy inside smells like, because it is allegedly pleasant. I don't believe it, but everyone else it is. So you know what?
I mean, those mummies
might
have had
pass on mummy
centuries to
sniffing.
soak in all those beautiful lilacs and beeswaxes, Scott. They have to smell
Exactly.
delicious at this point. Scott, how about you introduce us to this week's sponsor?
Yes. So this week we are sponsored by DC Current, the power you can rely on. Steady, consistent, unstoppable. When you need precise and reliable, DC Direct Current is the way to go. Whether it's a smartphone, laptop, or electric vehicle, DC delivers a steady stream of energy, powering your devices with consistency on your demand. Perfect for portability, batteries to solar panels, DC ensures that energy flows smoothly and efficiently. No spikes, no interruptions, just power you need when you need it. The power of the future. From electric cars to cutting-edge electronics, DC is the energy of tomorrow. Plug into DC and experience the energy you can count on. Power your life, your devices, and your future. Go DC.
Wow, power your life.
Brought to you by Edison.
Thank you, Edison. Big DC.
Thanks, Eddie.
Zap, have you ever heard of our sponsor, DC, before?
I have heard of DC before, but, I gotta say, I like a little bit of AC to go with my DC.
Oh, hey. All right. Well, thanks again to Big
Yeah.
DC for keeping the lights on, even though that's AC. Moving on to our next game segment. This week, the theme is Ray Charles. I have a series of compositions that I've performed just minutes before you came online, and I'm going to play them for you first in reverse, and both of you will have a chance to guess what song it is before we play it forward. The first song in reverse. Let's take a listen.
I think I might know it, but I don't know the name of it.
All right, and Zap.
I'm not even sure I know it just backwards. I'm gonna guess Shake Your Tail Feather?
All right, that's a good guess. And Scott?
I don't know any Ray Charles songs, but the one that sounded like that I heard, something though, Jack, don't you but no more, no more, no more, no more.
Oh,
Okay.
Hit the Road
That's what I
Jack.
think I heard.
Sipado Jack.
Zeph, you know what that song's called?
The one you're thinking of, Scott, would be Hit the Road Jack.
Hit the Road Jack. Okay, I'm locking in Hit the Road Jack.
And it forward sounds a little bit like this. Yes, it is Hit the Road Jack by Ray Charles.
Definitely Hit the Road Jack.
I reckon it's better in reverse than in forward because I started second guessing myself.
I'm glad you recognized it in reverse because I definitely didn't. It was only when I was playing forward I was like, oh, yeah, I was way wrong on my first guess.
With that said, let's move on to our second song played in reverse. Take a listen.
I'll take a guess and say Georgia on my mind.
Okay, that's a very
I don't
thoughtful
think
guess. All right, Scott, any last guess?
Shake your tail feather then, just to be safe. Cover our bases.
All right.
I have no idea.
Played forward, it sounds a little bit like this. It's a You Don't Know Me, originally composed by Ray Charles.
Oh.
Never knew that. I recognized it, but I had no idea what the words are that would go along with it.
Right, right. It was more recently performed by Michael Bublé, which was why it might be in the zeitgeist.
Ah.
All right, moving on to the third song in reverse. Take a listen.
Towards the end of that,
So it's a blues piece with an iconic introduction.
I don't think I know enough Ray Charles songs, honestly. I think that's my problem here.
I can't think of anything for it backwards.
Sure. All right, let's take a listen to it forwards. That would be The Mess Around by Ray Charles.
Oh.
And if you've recently
I didn't know
seen the Star Wars Family Guy episode, in Star Wars Episode 5, the guy driving the AT-AT is listening to The Mess Around as he's piloting a Crosshawk.
Zach, we got 2 points. We're good.
Hey,
2 points
cool.
for this one.
Thanks for your points, Scott. Speaking of the last section, should I even be able to, see that right
Don't
now?
look at it, don't look at it, don't look at it, don't look at it.
I knew the answer to the first
Don't
one
look at it,
already.
don't look at
I
it.
didn't look at the second question, so.
The music segment's over. Stop looking at my screen.
Hey, you didn't tell me to not keep
I know,
looking,
I
so.
Anyhow, with the music section completed, you have a total of 2 points, if I'm not mistaken, which will make an interesting final rapid-fire question segment. Scott, take it away.
All right, Zep, here is the rapid fire trivia question section.
Oh,
Our
my.
theme for today is video games.
Oh my god, video games? I think I've played those before.
Yes. Austin's going to put 60 seconds on the clock. If you don't know a question, go ahead and say pass. Otherwise, you'll either hear a or a to let you know if you got it right or wrong. You
Alrighty.
need 8 points to win.
All right, I'll give you a
Austin.
warning with the last 5 seconds for the final question. 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
What year was the original Super Mario Brothers released?
1985.
What video game franchise features protagonist named Link?
The Legend of Zelda.
What is the name of the fictional language spoken by the characters in the Sims series?
Oh god. I want to say it has the word sim in it, but pass.
What is the creator, or who is the creator of Zelda and Mario franchises?
Shigeru Miyamoto.
What is game holds the record for the best-selling video games of all time?
Currently, it's Minecraft.
In Minecraft, what materials do you need to craft a bed?
Let's see. Wood and wool. I think sticks.
What? Just those two, wood and wool. What is the name of the primary antagonist in the Metroid series?
The primary antagonist? Mother Brain.
What game features battle royale mode called Warzone?
Warzone? Fortnite, maybe? Might be Fortnite. I'm guessing Fortnite. I don't know. I don't play it.
What game would you find the creatures called pigmen?
Pikmin.
And that's
Which
it.
video game? Oh, that's it.
And that's
All
it.
right. Well, all right. You got 7 correct answers. So
Hey.
with the 2 points from there, and then also the 1 point that we scored in the first game of Order Matters together, you get 10 points.
Yeah, if we bend the rules a little bit, you get 10 points. Hypothetically, if we bent the rules to get 10 points for you, and you had the ability to wish for anything in the world that you wanted, what might you wish for?
Well, I mean, I would like to wish for world peace, but that has a lot of stipulations to it, so I'm just going to wish for, I don't know, 1,000 followers on my Twitch channel.
Ooh, okay.
Simple, man.
Okay.
It might actually
All right.
be possible. No, it's very
Okay,
possible.
all right.
Now, I will tell you, Zep, that usually on this show, we have a habit of making the wish somewhat unobtainable, or dare I say, monkey paw the wish,
Ooh.
so that you get what you want, but not how you really wanted it at the end of the day. So,
Oh, no.
not that we want to wish ill on you. I think the way we could monkey paw this one, Scott, would be, bots. There's easy ways to get numbers if the numbers are the only thing that you really are chasing. And it will have less meaning, and then your system might be flagged for using bots, and your whole thing will be
I
taken
have a
down.
better one. I'll give you a choice, Zep. You can either have
right.
the bots, or you can have that 100 and whatever amount you need of trolls.
Ooh.
Trolls.
So
at least
you run the risk of
One
your channel being
active
taken down with
chat,
bots.
Scott. It would be the engagement would be through the roof.
Exactly. Or you can have like all the numbers and metrics you want for engagement, but they're all negative and trolling you the whole entire time.
Toxic.
Ooh. I mean, then I'd be working real hard with those trolls. So, let's go for those trolls. I want to work hard.
All right. I mean, you could have the 107 or whatever trolls. Congratulations. Your wish is granted. Hypothetically, of course.
Thank you so much for participating in the show. Good luck with those extra 100 or so trolls that you have to manage. More power to you. Do you think you could help us out with our final segment, Zep?
I might be able to help you all out with the final segment.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, in our final segment, we have a few listeners that have written into the podcast and might need some self-help advice. I'll read off the first one. Beck in Miami, Florida writes us, what's your go-to snack when you need a quick pick-me-up during the day? My go-to snack is definitely pretzels. Pretzel sticks, pretzel rounds, can just throw them away. The shape is incorrect. Pretzel sticks or bust. What about either of you?
Mine would have to be cereal. I love eating cereal during dinner when I just need something that dinner's not quite ready or something like that. I'll just get a bowl of cereal and just, it's nice.
That's a way to
pick
do
me up.
it. And you, Zep?
See, I'm a fan of the snack that smiles back. Goldfish.
Depending on where
Pepper
you
Smarts.
look, you can find smiles listed as an ingredient on goldfish packages. But the last time I tried looking it up, I didn't find it, but that could be because I was in Canada at the time. And you can't just say it's made with smiles on the packaging. They take it seriously. Next, Diana from London, UK writes us, if you could create a personal theme song that motivates you, what would it be? I would probably just invent one from scratch, and it'd be like 120 beats PM, and it would just be like one really, really long loop. And it's not that I need to be motivated, I just need like a lack of distractions. So I'd probably compose some instrumental track, maybe something trancey.
Okay. To your point of 120, something around 100 beats per minute. That way, if I ever had to do CPR on somebody, I just have a background bass line going for me. Or I would do something very calming, like classical music, to keep my own heart rate down and not to panic in stressful situations.
You're not listening to the right classical music, Scott. All right, Zep.
fair.
I might just go with Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
Not bad.
But if I was to make my own song, this is the second choice here. Be a good hard rock song. 4/4 time, that's for sure. Probably in a major key. BPM, at least 110, I'm sure. Probably no more than 140. But a rough idea of what I'd have.
A nice driving rock piece? Not bad.
Exactly.
Not bad.
Maybe a nice slow bit in the middle of it before it picks up again to end it all off.
Well, those are all great recommendations for it's a good creative question. All right, next, Lance from Austin, Texas writes in, what's a fun way you found to turn a boring task into something a little bit more exciting?
I got one. Narrate it.
Ooh.
Narrate the task?
Yeah, as you're doing it. Like sports announcer or book narrator, either one.
Well,
Folding laundry, and he takes the left arm, folds it over, and the right arm, and he flips it up. Oh, he scores! He folded the shirt.
that would definitely make boring tasks a little bit more exciting. What do you think, Zep?
See, now I'm thinking I want Scott to narrate my laundry folding. Really gamify it. Let's see. What I usually do when I have a boring task, I just play some music loud. That way I can focus a bit more on that and not like what I'm doing that makes it so boring.
What I do find terribly boring is the occasional hospital visit where I'm sitting in a waiting room or in a gurney, and I really just can't tolerate waiting in that capacity, where the task is literally to sit down and don't do anything. And in those situations, I tend to find myself holding my breath, trying to control my heart rate, make the machine that's responsible for monitoring my life systems to go beep. That's my fun task, but I probably shouldn't. Because then the nurses get scared, but it's not their job to entertain me.
True.
But here I go, holding my breath again. All right, finally, we have a special guest from Quahog, Rhode Island, of all places, and he sends us a video message. Let's take a listen.
If you could take a 5-minute mental vacation right now, what would you do to reset your mind?
Wow, Peter Griffin, thank you for writing in. We really, really appreciate it.
Pretty articulate Peter Griffin there also.
Yeah, he's very
didn't sound
lucid.
like
He
Peter.
hasn't hit the clam just yet. I mean,
He hasn't taken his 5-minute vacation yet.
yeah, he hasn't started his 5-minute vacation.
What I usually do to reset my mind, I'll just like lay down on my bed, face first into it, and just like set a 5-minute timer and just be like, just not think of anything, just totally blank out.
Okay, a little meditation.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. I like it.
Get a bit of a nap in.
I'll have timers, and I know that my code will take 10 minutes to flash. So when I know I have that exact amount of time, I'll walk over to a piano that I installed in the gym, and I'll just play music.
Ooh.
I guess for 5 minutes, go through your brain, think about stuff, get to your worst case, like what's the worst case outcome, and then from there, choose, is that actually a realistic situation? Nope. Okay, then put it out of your mind. Reset, mental vacation.
Yeah, really, just stepping out of what you're doing, whatever is stressing you, and be able to do something completely different for just 5 minutes. It's not a bad way to...
Yep.
All right, well, these were our listener questions. I want to thank Zepp again one more time for joining us on this show, and thank you to all of our listeners. We're looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey,
Yeah, thank you.
thanks for having me.
And thank you all for listening, and tune in next time for the Austin and Scott Variety Show. And if you want to be a contestant or send in listener questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll put you on the show. Thanks again. Don't be a stranger.
I'll try not to.
Cool. See ya.
Take care, guys.
Bye now.